And we're going to be live right about now, Dealing with People live podcast, episode 2. I'm joined by Paul Bauer from the ComeOnMan Podcast, who has had me on his show a couple of times now, which I really appreciate it. And I kept telling him over and over again, like, I'm going to do something. Hang on. I'm screwing it up. There we go. Sorry about that. My audio is all screwed up. But yeah, you've had me on my show, and I kept telling you I'm going to start something eventually. And here I am inviting you on. And we're going to do some fun stuff tonight, some stuff that I didn't think we were going to do, but I'm down. It's going to be a good time. So, Paul, how you doing?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. Yeah, it's funny because when I had you on, you had your like Alex Costello channel. And then you were already doing some videos, like you were doing sort of reaction videos to somebody, The Fiend,
Taylor the Fiend.
Yeah. You were doing some reaction stuff to that. You were doing a lot of TikToks at that time. And then like all of a sudden you're just like, fuck it, I'm going to do Skyrim.
Dude, it kind of came crashing down on me. I was just like, something wasn't right about it. I wasn't ready to do full-time content, and I'm still not. I'm definitely not, and I'm not going to be doing full-time, but what I do want to do is some consistent content, and that's what this channel's for. There's going to be some pretty consistent videos and definitely a weekly podcast where I just bring somebody on and we chat about some stuff, and it's going to be a good time, which is I'm kind of pulling that formula from you, because it seems like you just kind of bring somebody on who knows something about something and you talk about it, and it's a good show. So
yeah, and how I started doing that too, we're not even talking about what we said we're gonna, but that's fine. let's just fucking go, man.
And this channel's not monetized yet, so we can flip the camera off, we can say F words,
we can literally do whatever we want right now because you only have 22 subscribers. Like, yeah,
burn this channel to the ground and start over, right? I don't give a shit.
So when I first started my podcast, it wasn't actually like my first rodeo at podcasting. Honestly, I had years ago, I did a tech show called Tech Chop. The videos are still up on YouTube. You can see my fat ass in these videos talking about like hacking Wi-Fi and setting up Linux. I used to have my own custom Linux distribution called Bauer Pontu. Yeah, that's how nerdy I am. And so I used to have that show, and the thing was like, that was like a labor of love at first. And I was doing it like once a month, it was a fun thing to do, kind of a creative outlet. And then I got sponsored because I joined the Tech Podcast Network, and they were getting me actual sponsors. And they're like, well, these sponsors want you to do a weekly show. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I was trying to come up with fucking tech content every week, and it became a full-time job, just doing that, writing the show, editing, because that's how I was doing like green screen and all this stuff. And it just became so daunting that I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like I have a real day job that actually pays the bills. This one's just, like at that time it was paying like $500 a month, which is nice for a hobby, but
yeah, but if it sucks too much out of you,
right?
Yeah.
So I stopped doing it because I was like, this is just too much. And then I ran a political Facebook page for a while. And then I tried to do an audio podcast out of that about politics. And that lasted like 3 weeks before I was like, nah, this is not going to work for me. Try to stay up to date on the news and what's going on in the news cycle. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Dude, if there's something that I wouldn't want to talk about for any length of time, it's politics. And like just politics. Like I'm fine with talking about current events and stuff like that. That's important stuff usually. But like talking about just politics and like what the left thinks of the right, and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't care.
Well, I used to, I was raised by a family that's like, very tradcon, very they would watch politics like other families watch football.
Right.
So I was raised around that, where I was just like, fuck Biden, like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And it was like in 2020 where I realized it's all bullshit. It's all just like Ryan says it so well, because I'm a pro wrestling fan. When he talks about it's all kayfabe, I'm like,
all of it is.
It fucking resonates with me so much, which brings me to what our topic is today. this whole thing is the greatest fucking wrestling promo in Manosphere history. Oh yes. My God. Oh, we'll get into that. But yeah, so go back to my podcast. When I decided to do this, I learned from the past 2 attempts. And it was, okay, I want to do it where it's fun. I want to do it where I can be consistent and drop an episode every Monday morning and have it, if I want to take a break for a month, I could do that, but still have episodes roll out every month. So I was like, okay, how am I going to do that? I'd listen to Chris Jericho, his podcast, Talk is Jericho. Fucking love that podcast, man. Cause it's wrestling. It's rock. Dude, do you like, you might not be into wrestling, but do you like paranormal? Are you ever into like that kind of?
I don't hate listening to that stuff. Do you know the YouTube channel the Y-Files?
No.
The Y-Files. He's got like almost 2 million subs. He does all sorts of crazy talks about paranormal stuff. But we're not talking about that crap. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Jericho talks about stuff he's into. So it could be conspiracy theories. It could be wrestling. It could be rock and roll. And stuff like that. And sometimes every once in a while he'll have like porn stars on, but it's a very entertaining show. And one of the things I learned from him is record in advance and put an episode in the can. That way, if you ever want to take time off, you just play an episode from the can, So what I would do is I would, the show started off from the 3% Man Facebook group. And I would just interview other guys in the group, just other guys learning, game, learning how to be better daters, how to be even better in relationships. And I just, pick their brains. I had like a standard template that I asked those guys questions, and I would just go from there. And then it just blossomed into what it is today. And now I'm doing like 3 episodes a week, which is, now it's a fucking job,
Yeah, but is it the job you wanted?
It is the job. Like, this is actually fun because another thing that I learned too is like, don't do green screens and like all this crazy editing. Like, if you can set up your background where it's like, decent,
good enough. Yeah,
it's good enough. Like, you don't have to do much editing. You just cut off the ends and bada bing, you got a show. Yeah. And then now that I do lives, I found with StreamYard, man, you can add elements and stuff and basically produce the show soup to nuts in a single live stream, and then you're done. It's like, dude, this is fucking rad.
Then you just got to cut it up. And I've been using the CapCut PC version lately to do shorts, which has just been, that's been a great program for anybody else out there that wants to cut their stuff up into shorts.
I use CapCut on my phone. I downloaded the CapCut desktop app.
Yeah, I like it.
But I haven't figured it all yet. And on my desktop, I use Vegas Pro, which I've used for years.
Yeah, I'm a DaVinci guy.
Okay.
For my stuff. I like to go as nerdy as I can, but then like I have to dial it back because it's like DaVinci can do too much sometimes.
Yeah, like Vegas is really powerful too. And that now I also have an Andrew Tate guy that cuts my clips. So half my clips are that guy and half my clips are me. And then he was showing me the other day, he sent me like his normal batch of clips from last week's episodes. And I was looking at it and I go, this isn't his normal stuff. And I go, did you use AI for this, man? And he goes, oh yeah. And he sends me this tool called Opus, where you can just drop your YouTube link into it and automatically finds like compelling like pieces of content. And then it spits it out. You still have to edit out, clean it up a little bit, but it's like, dude, this is so great. I like hacking the Gibson with this thing. Yeah.
It just, if only it was like a hot secretary and not a AI program, right?
Right. Well, like, yeah.
that would make it the 1950s like dream.
Right? Yeah. Just hand the videos to my hot secretary instead of fucking computer.
You'll have these back to me on Friday, right?
Slap that ass. Pap.
Exactly. Now
go be a good girl and get me a sandwich now,
this is perfect. Speaking of holding women accountable,
yes,
we are going to actually do a little bit of watching of the fresh and fit debate with Rollo Mike Sartain, and I'm sorry that I'm laughing. But
you never thought you would be fucking doing a reaction video to Fresh and
not
Fit
to
in your
this,
life,
dude.
did you?
I never thought this. I thought I was just gonna be like just the guy that just laughed at this stuff. But I'm gonna try to be nice about it, okay? Because I like Rollo. I like Rollo, okay?
Rollo and Mike are cool as hell, right? Actually, it's funny. Mike's brother follows me on Instagram.
Hey,
and all of a sudden the other day I see his name and I'm like, Sartain, and so like I messaged him. I'm like, hey man, are you Mike's brother? He's like, yeah man, yeah, I like your stuff. That's funny.
High five.
High five. Yeah. So normally I don't watch Fresh and Fit, and it's nothing against the Fresh and Fit guys. In fact, I admire them from a marketing standpoint. They have like over 1 million subs. Like that's impressive to me. And I don't, like their content obviously is Jerry Springer-esque.
You don't say, huh?
Yeah.
They're going to be doing paternity tests soon. I'm telling you, dude.
But
because Maury's dropping the ball, I think Fresh and Fit should pick it up. You are the father.
Right. You are the father. Yeah. So from that standpoint, like I don't really watch it, right? I don't really need the entertainment value of it. But this particular episode with Mike on it, have you ever watched Access Vegas?
Here and there. And I'm not to say that I haven't watched some Fresh and Fit episodes. I have, especially the ones with Rollo. It's the thing that got me towards being red-pilled is that episode that Rollo did on here about feminism and the history of it, and like actually setting people straight about it. And I was like, wait a minute, this guy's done his homework. Does he maybe have a Twitter that I could follow? And I did, and here we go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so normally, like, it's funny because so Rollo and Mike obviously do Access Vegas now, and they're basically, they're sort of entering this space, but from a standpoint of not giving women White Claws and kicking them off the podcast and trying to make these women look stupid. Like they'll get a bunch of hot women in the room and then
really talk to them.
Right. And it's actually pretty, it's educational. And then you got nice tits to look at, it's actually pretty smart marketing on their part. And so this episode of Fresh and Fit is very much like, it's because it's just them talking this whole time. Like you don't hear Myron and what's the other guy's name? You don't
Fresh, right?
Yeah, Fresh. It's just Fresh. Yes, Myron and Fresh, right? So you don't hear Myron and Fresh talking like for 90% of it. It's really just Rollo and Mike, and then what's his face? Their Destiny. Oh shit, Sneeko did show up for this. Like, so when I tuned into it last night, Sneeko wasn't there because he bailed. I guess he bailed like part way through and basically bitched out on it, which really makes him look bad. But one of the things I was telling Rollo and those guys in the chat was, I was like, dude, this is totally the best fucking wrestling promo of all time. You guys built up this heat. You guys built this up where people were like, yeah, we've got to see this. We got to see this fucking cage match at WrestleMania.
You know what I mean, Gene?
Right. And then, okay, Monday's here. All right, we got the cage. I got your ass this time. Sneeko, you can't keep ducking me. Right. And then they get there and Sneeko pulls what they call this the champion's advantage play in pro wrestling, where the bad guy who's the champion, right? Because Sneeko technically won the debate, whatever, during the gotcha moment from last week.
I didn't watch any of this.
Right. I just saw clips on Twitter. And so everyone's like, oh, Sneeko owns you, Rollo. And, right. Rollo's getting all up in his feels. He lost frame. And so Sneeko's the champion, right? So he's got the belt. He's got the Intercontinental Championship belt, and now Rollo's chasing the title because Rollo's the babyface now. Rollo's
the red pill debate apocalypse championship match.
So Rollo goes into the debate, and then Sneeko's like getting his ass kicked. So he rolls out of the ring, grabs his belt, and goes, "Fuck you guys, I'm going home." Because in order to win that belt, you have to pin him in the ring. So if the champion just quits and gets disqualified, he retains the championship. You see, that's called the champion's advantage.
That's definitely a way.
So now Rolo's still chasing that championship, and now, but he's going to get him. He's going to get him at SummerSlam, dude. I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, it's tag team now. He's got Mike Sartain in there, tag team.
That's right. So, but anyway, yeah. But the funny, because I was just watching it, and it was like this buildup, and all the channels were talking about it. All the channels were talking about. There's so much fucking hype on this that when they like Monday, they're like, okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna get them together. It's gonna be the fucking the debate of the century. I was like, dude, this is pro wrestling.
Yeah.
They had 323,000 like watchers last night, viewers. It was fucking unbelievable.
Dude, that's crazy. I mean, I was telling some of the guys that we were going to do this episode, and I'm like, my takes are probably going to be pretty dry, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to put a smile on for it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen.
Yeah. So you want to start playing a little bit of, I didn't watch it from the beginning, so I don't even know.
I'm ready.
So we're both virgins.
Yeah,
we're here.
We are Mike brothers.
Don't make it weird. Okay, here we go.
And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Fresh Air Podcast.
Can you hear this okay?
Long anticipated debate between Roll Tomasi, Michael Sartain, Sneeko, and
forward.
Destiny. Let's get into it. Let's go.
Oh! Yeah, let's skip this shit.
And then I won't be in town, guys. So you guys are actually going to get a special show with these guys.
I'll
be here on Friday.
Roll Sartain and myself.
Yes.
Running the show.
And then,
Fresh?
Like on the debate?
With somebody. Who knows?
Who knows?
We have something for y'all.
He's like totally pro Rolo though. You know he's pro Rolo.
Deserve less.
Yeah,
and
that's
a
great cover, by the way. Look at Sneeko's face.
All the guys.
He looks like
other links below, guys. Go support them down below. I got their Rumbles, their YouTube, etc. Destiny, Sneeko, Roll Tomasi, Michael Sartain.
He's not.
So I'll read these guys real quick. From this point forward, guys, we're not going to read anything outside of $100 and up.
That's because like his whole platform is
going nice and smooth.
Talking shit.
Just so you guys know, me and Fresh are not
and then getting people to react to him.
I got a couple topics here on hand, but let me read these and I'll give you guys the ground rules.
That's it.
Jordan 14 goes, Sneeko to focus on a vasectomy last time.
From what I can see.
The point is not to have kids when you're broke and haven't built yourself up yet and can't provide. Not every man is young and successful like you are.
What's your take?
You will be armchair debating somewhere else.
Obviously, the tweet
don't worry.
Was
Colin Stevens,
turn the volume down.
You should ask the resident blue-haired.
How's this? Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
So, what was your take on Rolo's tweet? Like the tweet, the infamous tweet that started all this shit storm.
I laughed at every minute of it because I was so busy doing a bunch of other stuff that by the time I even knew the tweet existed, I had already seen like 48 quote tweets saying either something completely fucking ridiculous or it was one of our buddies going like, yeah, and like Rolo, like he pretty much worded it the way it was worded on purpose. You guys are all idiots. So I looked at it and I'm like, okay, yeah, Rolo's pushing, and it's he's looking for it, and he found it.
That's sort of his marketing strategy, and God bless him. He puts that out there, but everyone was focused on the vasectomy portion.
Yep. Yeah, everybody got really up in arms about that. They got really up in arms when control over paternity was a thing, and a lot of guys like to go, oh, hypergamy and baby rabies, bro. It's like, well, look at you now, fucker. Look at your stupid shitty take on this.
Yeah,
you're sitting here trying to say Rolo's a bad person for saying this. It's like, why are you so worried? He didn't
even say you should do it or you have to do it. It was just like, this is a way of doing of stacking that cash, And it's funny because I was explaining it to my mom. She sort of like follows the space now because I'm on all these shows, and so my mom's like, I don't like that. I don't like that. What he's saying, and so I turned it around, right? I said, well, okay, well, Mom, like, what about women that want to focus on their careers and and stuff, and put off having having kids.
Yeah.
So they freeze their eggs and just avoid having sex and having babies and stuff until they're in their late 40s or whatever, and then they just get in vitro or whatever. She's like, oh yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't do that, but yeah. And I go,
but it's fine, right?
it's literally the same thing. Like, why can't I freeze my sperm? It's because I'm taking control of the pregnancy at this point, right? And then she was just like, oh, I didn't think about it. Like, yeah. Oh.
I didn't notice that about myself. And
Yeah.
and if you look at Rollo's tweet, everything on there is just literally just the best way to maximize beta provisioning, because that's what he's trying to show everybody. I think is something he's trying to show people. It's like, this is not what is high value. Like, we're paying attention to how women react, and you are not reacting in a way that says that only beta provisioning says what is high value.
Yeah.
Women value other things than men.
Yeah, which they really get into in this debate. Honestly, they get into they start talking about how a lot of guys have more sex when they're like poor and they have a mattress on the floor. Like that's when guys are out banging chicks. It's not when they finally stack that cash.
Yeah. Money was never an issue in my early 20s.
Dude,
get the fuck out. Even my teens.
Did I ever tell you about how when I first met my wife, I was in the Navy, and I lived on the ship. I lived on the ship. I didn't have a house. I didn't have an apartment. I literally lived on the ship. And I convinced her to come out to San Diego from Colorado to visit me. And when she came out for a week. She got herself a hotel room. I basically just packed up all my stuff in a sea bag and went and stayed with her in a hotel room for a week. Yep. But when she got to town, I was broke. I was fucking broke. So I brought her on the ship, took her through the Navy chow line on the ship for dinner. And she thought it was an amazing experience because she had never eaten Navy food on a U.S. warship. And I really played it up like, oh, this is U.S. military food. Like this is whatever. I was broke though. I couldn't afford to take her anywhere. So like, that's how I fed her that first night. And she ate it up. Like, you don't need money. You don't need money, guys. Come on.
This looks like it's going to segue perfectly. It's the actual first topic here. It looks like they're doing intros right now.
Yeah, they're just reading all the. I wish I got this many super chats. That's crazy. Oh, and of course it goes to a commercial.
Get out of here.
Oh,
you don't block these ads? I don't pay attention. I don't freaking.
I'm Steve Bunnell.
I support advertisers because I get paid.
YouTube and video games on YouTube.
So.
YouTube.com/Destiny.
Got it.
I've been doing this for about 13
All right,
years.
here. What are they saying here?
All right. Sneeko, canceled streamer on Rumble, and certified douche nozzle. There you go.
I mean, already. Just self-deprecation. Like, he just knows he sucks.
Going to read the ones that are 100 and up just because.
Well, I mean, he's also sort of agreeing and amplifying because Rollo called him a douche nozzle
what a high value man is.
I get that.
And then we're going to come to
or was it during the debate last week? I can't remember, but Rollo definitely called him a douche nozzle
during the course of the conversation. We already got 20,000 y'all in here, so do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Subscribe to everyone's channel here. Sneeko on Rumble, that's on YouTube.
Hashtag MGTOW sent 550 New Zealand dollars.
And then
look at him going his own way.
Do we kick it off with defining high value man?
Before we define things, I wrote like 6 things down so we can all agree on things. So we have like a common base going for it. Okay. So I wrote 6 rules that I hope we can all kind of
see. This one thing that I actually think is good about Destiny is he came up with ground rules so that they can have
what we're analyzing. We're not
some
here to
decorum.
make fun of each other, scream at each other, be emotional, whatever.
Fine.
But we're trying to figure out what the most true shit is.
That's actually smart.
Number 1. Number 2. I personally think we should move through arguments point by point rather than like diatribing for 5 or 10 minutes so that the other time, because you don't want to start off a point where somebody already disagrees and then talk for another 5 or 10 minutes. And so if I'm saying something or Sneeko's saying something or you guys saying something, if you disagree, just be like, hey, let's talk about this thing before we rattle on a ton. Okay. Number 3, because I hear this accusation a lot. If anybody feels like there's a debate tactic in the room, call it out, and we've got the moderators here. If somebody feels like they're straw manning or appealing to emotion or false authority or whatever, so like, hey, hold on, I don't like that. Point it out. nobody should be leaving here. And then in 2 weeks, being like, there's a lot of tactics going on. Call it out if you see it, and we'll address it later.
Like this is all like, this was good. This is what made it not a complete dumpster fire.
Having these conversations. So even if we want to say that a feeling about a particular word is subjective or whatever, we all have to agree on that. Otherwise, we're going to be lost in the sauce if we're all like arguing, what does it mean to be alpha or beta? And we all have like 4 different definitions working. Okay. And then 2 more. 5 is trying to keep this as scientific as possible. So
have you ever watched anything from Destiny before this?
I saw 2 stories.
Just like clips out. Like I have no idea what he does except for shit on red pill guys because I don't know other than that.
Essentially all I know is that he's a gamer. He's like a game streamer typically. He's got a wife that they basically have an open relationship, so they're both bisexual, so his wife can go out and bang other chicks and other dudes, and he can do the same, and he's into that. But whatever. Traction's not a choice. So that's all I know about him. And then he he's sort of like friends with the Fresh and Fit guys, so he's on Fresh and Fit enough that he's built up a name for himself. So hey, Caudillo, what's up, buddy? We're watching some Fresh and Fit. Thanks for joining us.
Everyone at the table can agree what it is.
I'll go if you guys want me to go. So, of course, everybody wants to like nail me on what's a high value man. Okay, so I could have said this on our last engagement here: is that a high value man is the man that other men want to be and other women want to fuck. That's straight out of I think it was my 3rd book or my 2nd book. Okay, that's too broad a definition, I think. So I could have just simply said that. People ask me all the time in the tweet.
Hey, we should send a link to Caudillo and have him join us
afterwards. Like, why didn't you just simply say that?
I am totally down with that.
With that is because once you get past,
hey, Caudillo, you want to hop on, man?
Definition. So I did a little bit of homework on the way over here on the plane, and we generally go to the female delusion calculator on our show, and you guys have used the female delusion calculator.
Yeah, send him DM him a link on Twitter.
What is a high value man? Well, we've asked that question quite a bit from pretty much every girl that we've had on our show. Now, should it be defined by women? Well, maybe not, but there's a criteria there.
What's a high value man to you, Alex?
Oh my gosh. We go through that. We go and say, I don't even care. I don't fucking care. That's what a high value man is to me. Someone who just doesn't fucking care if he's high value or not. Like, and I don't even care to give it a definition because it's completely subjective.
The way I look at that and the whole like alpha thing is us as a guy don't get to choose whether we consider ourselves high value or not, right? It's like a fat chick that shows up on the whatever podcast that fat troll
calls herself a 10, and
she's like, I'm a 10. Right. And everyone else is like, what? No, you're not. Right. Because it's a perception thing. Right. So you could be high value to chick A. Chick B might think you're a turd. It's really that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Roughly,
So that's the same thing with like the alpha thing. Like this chick over here could consider you like very, very, very alpha, right? She wants to bang you. She thinks you're that attractive, for whatever reason. Chick B might not give you the time of day, right? It's not up to us guys to determine that.
I mean, you can min-max your attractive and unattractive behaviors. That's the best you can do.
There's certain things I think are pretty broadly accepted by most women as this is attractive behavior, this is attractive like dress attire. But man, even like Rollo has an article from like 2013 or something.
You should pause this because I'd like to hear what Destiny has to say as a high value man.
Okay. Yeah. So, but there's an article from like Rollo from like 2012, 2013 or something called Have a Look.
Yeah.
And it's all about like, dressing in a suit might not be the type of guy that this chick over here wants. This chick wants a guy dressed like a rock star, So it's like you gotta however you dress, you need to have a look that will fill the role that whatever chick that you're trying to go for. It's like a casting call situation. All right, you want to hear Destiny? Okay, I'll quit running my mouth.
Last time was the subjectivity.
You might have to back it up.
That's the thing.
Oh,
no
did
matter
you say it
what
already?
we say,
Okay.
And so when we talk about men.
no, they know. Okay, they do.
Yeah, trust me. There's
All right.
20,000 people they know.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's define high value man. Who wants to take the first crack at it? So everyone.
Okay, so we heard this. This is Rollo's definition.
Yeah, this is Rollo. Use your arrow keys
Guys, want to
to
go?
be able to move
Of
forward
course,
and back.
everybody wants to like nail me on what's a high value.
We'll just hear this again.
So I could have said this on our last engagement here, is that a high value man is the man that other men want to be and other women want to fuck. That's straight out of I think it was my third book or my second book. Okay. That's too broad a definition, I think. So I could have just simply said that. People ask me all the time in the tweet or on Twitter and social media afterwards, like, why didn't you just simply say that? Okay. Well, problem with that is because once you get past that, it's a little bit too broad of a definition. So I did a little bit of homework on the way over here on the plane. And we generally go to, the female delusion calculator on our show. And you guys have used the female delusion calculator as well. So what is a high value man? Well, we've asked that question quite a bit from pretty much every girl that we've had.
I've never used that.
Now, should it be defined?
I'm looking this up.
Maybe not, but there's a criteria there that forms the basis, I would say, like just the core principle of what is a high value man. So when we go through that, we go and say, okay, well, how tall is that guy? How much money does that guy make? What is his, is he obese? Is he like, and there's very specific, details
this is
that
genius.
go into that. And then through that we say, okay, well, that represents what, like 0.0.
Yeah, have fun with that, making shorts.
We were talking about the GSS survey, or not the GSS.
No.
I'm gonna do whole episodes on that.
So we always, and you guys do the
I
same
think you're late
thing
to the
when we
party
are
on it, but
looking
you could
to
still
establish what is a
you
high
could do
value
it.
man, at least as
Yeah,
far
if I
as
just wait a
what we're
year,
looking for at that time. I'm not
just
saying
wait
that
a year.
it's
What's old
not
is new
an
again.
issue for guys as well. As I said, it's other men want to be and other women want to have sex with.
So what parameters would you?
Exactly. Good.
Here we go.
Now you guys,
Rollo's gonna
in the
own
first year of your show here, you had Kevin Samuel sitting right here, and one of the things he said is that the guy must make something like $10,000 a month, I believe is what it was.
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly. So that comes out to $120,000 a year. Can we agree that if you make $120,000 a year, would that make, like, as far as money is concerned, would that make you a high value guy?
I think it depends on where you are. Like if you're in Manhattan, I think that would be problematic. If you're in Wichita, Kansas, that's a lot of money.
Okay, so
I think I'll give a very broad definition. I think we can all agree on this. I think in the broadest sense, when we talk about men, we talk about what a high value man is. We think about what men are designed to do. I think that a high value man is somebody that can partition or acquire a lot of resources.
Okay.
In the broadest of senses. And that can be done in a lot of ways.
do we want to put a specific number on those resources?
I think a lot is relative. So it's going to be more than your fellow guy.
Right,
so if you make 120,000 a year in
Gotta go
Kansas,
standard deviations.
if you make
That's what you gotta
120,000 years
do.
in San Francisco, your neighbor is probably a crackhead. Right?
Yeah, so
it just
the thing
depends
is,
on
your argument last time was the subjectivity of what you were saying, and that's the thing.
And that's
no matter
the
what number
subjectivity.
we say is a subjectivity. For me,
You're making $120,000 a year in San Francisco. You're living in a closet.
He's doing something that he loves, and he's going to have his options on what woman that he can date. Now, if you were to look at that and say, like, for instance, I like Greg Gallagher. I'm a big fan of How to Beast. Brandon Carter is a buddy of mine. Wes Watson, Goggins, what's his name? Jocko Willink. Those guys I consider to be high value men. The thing is, though, if Greg Gallagher is dating a woman with breast implants and fucking plastic surgery, another person who has different religious beliefs are going to be like, no, that's haram. That's bad. So that's the thing. It's the subjectivity.
That's haram.
I think important to keep in mind is when we say value, we're implying some sort of exchange between multiple people. So like a moral man or a virtuous man might be way different.
Oh, I
than a
heard.
high value man.
I heard that Quran that's sitting next to Sneeko there.
Yeah.
He literally stopped by a bookstore to buy that on the way in.
For instance, you guys had an argument before about family creation.
Dude,
if somebody,
stupid
several
shit
of those
like
guys
that.
I just mentioned,
That's what
they are not interested in family
You
creation.
can't-
They're interested in
You
being
can't
the
figure
most
out if it's
version
true or
of themselves
not,
they
but
can
someone
be.
will just be like,
So
oh
you
yeah,
have
you must have
one
bought
person
that
say,
on the
this
way
is
in.
not
You're
a
like,
high
No,
value
no.
man. They will call it their
I
show. And another guy
have
would be like, yo, man,
inside
I've been used
information.
by women my whole life. I've been
All
hurt my
right,
whole fucking
all
life. And I see this guy and he's fucking killing it. That's a high value man. The subjectivity of it is like something like when you.
I don't
But
think
you're right.
Yes,
You
he
can't can't verify it. You can't
I don't think
verify it.
religious people would really disagree about that. I just don't think that.
So you're
this
just
is where
like,
red pill kind
whatever.
of
I'm an asshole, right? So I'm just a cynic. I'm like, yeah, that's probably not true.
Yeah, like, I think something that's really important.
I just think everybody's bullshitting me all the time.
The part comes in, I think, when it comes to.
Well, I wouldn't have even like noticed that.
Here we go.
The subjective part is, what do you need to acquire resources? So, for instance, we say fitness, right? Fitness could be a proxy for acquiring resources. If you're hunting in the wilderness, a more fit guy can climb a tree, kill a bear, whatever. But in some societies, fitness isn't a proxy for how much money you make, right? I imagine that on average, there's probably a lot of really wealthy people that are not. I don't know how much Bill Gates can bench press, right? But for resource acquisition, he's very, very, very valuable. So, and then also, I think we have to keep in mind, when I say high value, and I know Rollo likes to do this a lot, and so I'm going to try to play in this realm. I'm not trying to morally load any of these words. A high value man. So this question got asked, right?
You mean just supply and demand?
Yeah. So Epstein was a high value man.
Yeah, okay.
But obviously morally a horrible
bankrupt,
character, right?
Okay.
And there's going to be a lot of high value people that have a lot of value in society in terms of how much resource they can demand, right? Or Genghis Khan or whatever, who are morally deplorable people. And there's going to be a lot of very morally righteous people, virtuous people, who don't really possess a lot of value. Maybe it's a carpenter, or maybe
if
it's
I
a
can intervene real fast, I think one thing that we can all agree
I just think Destiny speaks in a way where he's like lures you in, and you're like, well, yeah, he's kind of making sense here, but it's just like, I don't know, just something about me still bugs him so far.
It's the blue hair.
And we could say,
I don't. I mean that. Yeah, I think that's.
Say if you make $100,000,
I think what I think of it. Maybe you know.
A Kansas living type.
Sure. So those are all subjective, but we'd all probably agree in the West.
Does blue hair make you high value?
I think it does.
Yeah.
Really.
And you seem to be agreeing with Myron now, but you also said last time that Elon Musk is not a high value man. Ben Shapiro
from a particular context, no, he's not.
From what context?
Well, from the context that he is not married, is a high value man married.
That has nothing to do with being married or not.
Well, it does to the definition of it.
Do you think other people think that being a high value man would have some correlation to being married?
He has to explain it to him. He has to explain his
because the tweet that I made, everybody had a very big problem with not focusing on family creation or not getting married. So is a high value man married?
To be perfectly honest, the whole concept of online debates are stupid, you know?
Definition. I think
because people are coming in like Team Rollo, Team Mike.
On things
people are coming in.
How
Team
we can agree that a person of high value probably has the ability to get married and have lifestyle, but they might not necessarily.
If they choose to do so, that's on them. And going back to the morality, I think that's a fantastic point. Even though someone like Epstein is a deplorable individual, on paper, he had a network of net worth people. He had politicians in his pocket. He had quite a bit of money. He had a skill set.
He probably had a vasectomy too.
Yeah, probably.
Shout out to the CIA.
There he goes.
He did have a skill set, and he earned a
focusing on that vasectomy stuff.
Again, I think that's something that we can all agree to. So we can.
Oh my gosh, dude.
So we'll go off of respected by peers, as a skill set, network of other successful people.
Freaking
around
men
him.
raised as
Morality
defective
doesn't matter,
women.
and we could say
Like
$100,000,
stupid kind of shit.
When we talk about
that, like
$100,000,
I would
we need
never want Sneeko as a buddy of mine ever, because he would always open his fucking mouth at the wrong time.
Cost of living adjustment.
Always.
Can I tell you? Oh,
Yeah,
you're probably going to say that. You're probably going to say the same thing I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
Okay, so but he also has to be useful.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Utilities. Okay.
Yeah,
So
we got Nuke in here.
right. So there's a competency. There's an so is a high value man.
Hey, what's up, man?
Drop the volume of this really quick so we can
properly.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? We got Nuke in here. He just popped in the chat, and Paul was like, "Hey, join us." I'm like, "Hey, yes, please join us. We are here."
Hey.
For some reason, we're reacting to this debate between all of these fine individuals. I'm sure if you've been on Twitter in the past 24 hours, Nuke, you have developed some sort of opinion on this, and we're interested in hearing it.
I have been on Twitter in the past 24 hours, and I just started watching this morning. I think while I was like getting ready and driving to work. I would say that it was a very interesting debate, or whatever you want to call it these days. Is this even a debate? What is this a debate?
Pro wrestling, man.
Yeah, it's pro. Like Paul says, it's pro wrestling.
It's the main event.
Yeah,
it's the main event of debating.
But the thing is, like, I think what the problem is here is that Destiny and Sneeko just can't see past I think it's the age. You know what it is? I think it's the age. When you have two very experienced guys like gone through life, done a whole bunch of things in life, and then you have two new guys that not new, but like, younger. The younger guy's gonna think they know everything, and then the older guys are gonna be like, "Listen, young man, I think that's
listen here,
like
whippersnapper."
Yeah, because like they're really explaining it. They're not like they're going nuts and bolts, and then like Michael Sartain and Rolo are pretty good with each other on. Yeah, they're pretty. Like they're not. You cannot stack up Destiny and Sneeko against Rolo, and that's like Kobe and Shaq versus like
Team Cuba.
Yeah, Team Cuba
at the Olympics.
Yeah.
So
but they try their best. So
we have Jack in the chat. Jack, do you want to join us and talk about this dumpster fire too? I welcome your opinion, Jack. It would be a lot of fun. But at any rate, carry on, Nuke. Sorry about that.
Oh no, that's all I had. It's just it's a debate. Honestly, I've been more on the side of the chick on on the whatever podcast that was giving Justin Waller shit. That I got 450 likes in 24 hours because I literally just said, when a woman talks to a man she doesn't know like that, she usually is twice as disrespectful to the guy she has at home because the familiarity and all that stuff. And then people lost their mind. I didn't even attack the idea. People lost their minds. So
you said a woman was rude?
Yeah, they couldn't handle that their conserva mommy or their trad mommy could possibly be rude and not an angelic figure or something like that.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
I saw that tweet. That's true too. Did you see Ryan's reaction to it? He's like,
Rolo just tweeted it too. Now, like we're all on the.
But like Ryan said, like watch this with the sound off, right?
Yep.
He's like, Justin looks like just a downtrodden husband, tired of her shit. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, you want to put the volume back up on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Yep. Mate up, across, and up, as well as marry across and up. And as far as the definition is concerned, I've been trying to do this myself, right, is to expand the definition. But also people like Jordan Peterson have been using that expanded definition for probably going on another 5 or 6 years right now.
Okay. So
that would be my definition.
Can I?
Okay. So to boil it down, will we say the practice of marrying and or dating up when it comes to socioeconomic
the attempt. So this is so I'm going to come from an evolutionary standpoint. There is some algorithm that Homo sapien males have to where they can see a woman and be like, that woman's attractive immediately. It's not something that's taught to them. They know immediately that woman is attractive.
The boner test.
She passes exactly very quickly. There must be
what or what not
algorithm in female psychology to determine the
I love the way that just rolls out of Rolo's mouth. She passes the boner test, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, the boner test."
Yeah. There are so many more things. What we talk about is statistics, negative kurtosis.
Is that bullrushism?
Attracted to about men.
Yeah.
Why women have
sex. If she gets me hard, she's 10.
This is 237 reasons why women choose to have sex, whereas for men it's like 4. So because of that algorithm, that complicated evolutionary algorithm is hypergamy. That's what I would consider it. It is the way by which women sift which guy I like from which guy I don't like. It must exist just like it exists in men. So that's the way I would pose it.
All right, would it be fair to say it's sifting up though, right?
Yes,
it's not sifting, it's sifting up.
Because her evolutionary imperative is to find the strongest son that she can. So that strongest son is going to deal with some competency or some physicality that man has that she's.
I don't know what Caudillo's doing. He's like building a
for you guys?
IKEA desk or something in there.
So quick little recap. So we went over this defining the terms. We went over high value men. We say about $100,000 when it comes to cost of living of a certain way, respected by your peers, having a skill set network of successful individuals around you, competence, and it's.
Do you know when any really interesting stuff happens? Because this is just
no. I have no idea when anything really.
Epstein, whatever.
I want to know when.
He's one of them boys.
What time does Sneeko walk off? Let me see if I can find it here.
And then
we don't know about that.
I'm kidding.
Maybe we'll just fast forward to that where he bitches out. Let's see.
To mate up or sifting up, and having filters for men. And then alpha
he was there for quite a while, man. Because by the time I joined, he had already bailed.
Discussion here, guys.
I think about halfway he leaves.
Sweet. Let's
pull
pull
up
right
here,
Chris. We got 2,800. Check out Mike Sartain and the Access Vegas podcast on his channel, as well as Rolex Masi on the Rational Mail. I'm reading only $100 super chats.
4-hour
so that I
debate.
can make sure that we keep this thing nice and succinct. We got Platinum Elite going.
Yeah, there's no way we're going to go through all
Thanks,
this.
guys. I appreciate you.
Oh, you got to go?
Oh, you got to go?
Yeah.
Hey, come to Vegas.
He's
Come
going
to Vegas.
Yeah, seriously, come to Vegas.
Come to
Come
Vegas.
to Vegas.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we
We're
won't
going to
take it. We won't take it in any clubs.
Hey,
I'll take it
let me tell you
some.
something. There's gonna be some
I'm a married
distractions.
guy.
Do they have
Remember,
any mosques in Las Vegas? Yeah, of course.
Oh, man.
you're in. You're on.
This guy's
Okay,
Have
bro.
fun with your new friend, your closer friend. Okay? Bye, buddy.
You got some distractions.
No more
plan Bs, bro.
Yeah. The red pill has flaws, but it is so much better than being a beta simp. Marriage is at an all-time low. You don't have to have money to get women, just confidence. Most men will never earn $120,000
Can you pause
a
it
year.
for a
Just learn
second?
game. Okay.
Yeah.
We got here.
I hate this weird stigma about the red pill and how it's like demonizing and like it's about womanizing. It's, you know what the red pill is for everybody out there who really wants to know? It's the boring shit. It's just literally guys talking, did this work? Yup. Did this work? Nope. And then we go, oh, okay.
I'll try that
That's
out.
it.
Yeah.
It stops right there. There's nothing else beyond that. It's just a database of all of that shit. And everybody's like, the red pill is so much better than feminism. It's like, what are you talking about?
Right. And the guy's talking about like, oh, marriage is at all-time low. And it's like, there's married red pillars. What? Yeah.
Sorry. Carry on with
No.
the Destiny debate.
Okay. So Sneeko walked off. I thought it was going to be a much bigger, to do him walking off. It was just like no big deal. It was like, oh, you got to go. Okay. See you later. Like, okay. But then he went on a stream later on Reddit and was like, oh, I didn't need to be there debating him. I already won. So like, this is what I was talking about. This is him with the Intercontinental Championship, right? And Rolo's chasing the championship, and Sneeko's like, screw you guys. I'm out of here. It's the
He just
champion's
rolls
advantage.
out of the ring and counts out. What
He
a
rolls
bitch.
out. He gets a DQ, but he retains the title. So Rolo's got to get him at SummerSlam.
And he's still like outside of the ring, like talking shit, like, oh yeah, shaking his fist and stuff.
Exactly. Or what he does is he has his boys come in, and then they rough roll up with some chairs, and then they get disqualified, and he retains the title. It's all the same. It's champion's advantage. You got to pin the champion in the ring.
Fair enough.
You can't unsee it. You can't unsee the rest.
I think the biggest issue, and I even see this to my friends. Sometimes they ask me for advice, but not like teach us, Nuke, how did they just like, hey man, I got this problem with girls. I'm like, yeah, that's what your bros are for, to like give you perspective. The biggest issue, I think, is that everyone, like, they're afraid of taking their own sexual problems, their own relationship problems, their own whatever relationships with women, whether it be friend, coworker, sexual, wife, whatever, and dealing with it by themselves and putting the responsibility on themselves. So there's like this subconscious, like, oh, we are all in this together. We have to, we all have to agree what a high value man is. That way we can go out and we can collectively change the world. I'm like, no, man. Like, first off, it's not like you're on your own. Like, no one will ever help you, but like, you're on your own in terms of like taking action and fixing your own problems, bro. Like, we're not in this together. Like, every man is different, has a different background, but the red pill is open source and it's for everyone. That's the biggest thing. It's for everyone, but it's not for someone across the country in a different socioeconomic bracket, in a different religion, and a different skin color to tell you how to live your life. You got to figure it out yourself. And I think that's the biggest fear. And that's why everyone's like freaking out right now.
I had this guy DM me on Instagram the other day, and he's like, do you guys know who Black Spider Guy Advice is? You guys ever seen him?
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I heard of him. He's like a black pillar, right? Or
he used to be kind of MGTOW. And like, he and I are friends, actually. We're like, I know his true identity. His real name is Peter Parker. No, it's kidding. No. Anyway, it actually, so Spider Guy and I, we did a group show a long time ago called the Mantastic Four. Sounds gay, but
oh my god.
But yeah,
hey,
so
gotta
Spider,
do what you gotta do.
20 bucks is 20 bucks. No, so Spider Guy and I, like, we go back a ways, and so this other guy who came on the Mantastic Four one time, he was talking to Spider Guy, and then he comes to me and he's like, "Hey, we need to sit down and have a discussion where we can talk about like some real solutions to this, what do you call it? The gender war problem." Right. And he's like, we need to sit down and like really just come up, brainstorm some like really good solutions. And I go, I'm not trying to be cynical here, because I'd love for that to happen. But do you really think that you, me, and Black Spider Guy advice are going to change a goddamn thing? I go, no. There was like I heard Chesty talk about how there was like this men's march in the late 90s where they all marched on Washington for men's rights. Not a goddamn thing. And it happened. And I think there was like hundreds of thousands of men there. You think us three on a shitty YouTube show are going to change anything? Get the fuck out of here. I will pass on that.
I mean, just circling back to how Nuke put it, that is a very female approach to the situation. This whole concept of we're all in this together. It's like we're all in this conversation together
at this moment. Yeah.
Right now, but this like women do that. That's how they process thoughts. They come together and they bounce the ideas off of each other and they decide what is right. Not what they think. They decide if the situation makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And guys are doing that.
They're checking in. They're checking in their ideas to make sure they're good, so they don't get like kicked out of their little collective or group or something.
Yeah. Yep. And guys are doing that because that's what they're kind of shown to do these days. It's like you gotta communicate. You gotta do all this, and it's like, you know what? I can just kind of do this myself. I don't need anybody's fucking help.
They're afraid of the burden of performance. Like the same reason why when I went after this chick on Twitter, and Ryan and Rolo all went after the chick, and everyone's like attacking and like going crazy and saying I'm a virgin or I cried during sex or whatever they say. I
love the insults. I'm at the point where when people like say something like that, they're like, "You're a virgin." I just go, "I am." And they go, "Yeah, obviously," and I'm like, "Obviously." And
I wish, man, I wish I could relive the memories of all those, all these women I used to be with. But what the thing is, like, the reason they're mad is because what I'm doing is it's like I'm showing the mirror. I'm putting up the mirror to them and saying, "Hey, this woman that doesn't know you, that doesn't care about you, wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire." Wants you to set yourself on fire. So like there's some coalition or a political party or a movement, but in reality, it's all fake. Like you have to look at your own life and fix your own life. And you relying on religion, and it's okay to believe in God. Obviously, it's okay to believe in God. Everyone has their own convictions, but you got to realize that God is, it's not fair for you to take on a moral crisis for the rest of the country. You're just one person trying to do the best they can with what you were given. Like it's crazy that that people are like, yeah, get him, whatever her name is. But the thing is, like, hey man, like you guys understand that like even if there's like this big movement for anything, you still have to look at your own life and fix your own life and maintain your own life. Like no one's gonna do it for you, right? You know that, right? And they just can't like they need like a team, like it's team sports. So I'm like, no. It's like tennis, you're on your own. I don't get it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to find that chick's name too, because I swear I've seen her stuff before, but I can't remember what the hell her name is. Hold on.
Yeah.
Lisa something.
Yeah, Lila or something.
Yeah, it's Lila something. Basically, she was trying to
Lila
Justin
Rose.
Waller.
Yeah.
And she was in that video, she was trying to say that he was a bad man for sleeping around. That's the gist of it, right? Like she said, you're a bad person.
Yeah, you're gonna live an unfulfilled, unhappy life because
but she did it in a condescending, like the manipulation tactics women use. Like, for example, let's say you get back home and you're tired from the gym or tired from work, and your wife or girlfriend says, "Hey, can you move those logs in the backyard?" or whatever task. And you say, "Oh, not right now. I'm kind of tired. I'll do it tomorrow morning or later." And she's like, "Oh, I thought you were so strong. Why can't you always go to the gym?" Like that kind of manipulation tactic. That's exactly what she did. And the thing is, Justin Waller represents any guy. Whatever you think of him, he represents any guy that's just trying to live his own life on his terms and just leave me alone and let me live my own life. But that's not good enough for some people, so they use this shaming tactic. And there's a lot of theories, but I think one of the theories is basically like, women, especially Asian women, do not like the fact that there's guys out there their age and older that are just out there enjoying younger women, living on their own terms, happy, content, and telling other guys, "Hey, if you guys aren't happy in your marriage, like this is a pretty chill life. It's not bad to be single and in your 40s or 50s. It's not terrible. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, you won't have a family, right? Or you won't have the trad fantasy, which it's really fickle anyway. But hey, this is not so bad." And then, people don't like that because, get back in the longhouse, get back to what, to the fantasy get back on the plantation.
The mold as I see fit.
And the thing is, like, that's taking power away from, because our power is that we have time. We simply have time is on our side, right? And if you do everything right, you'll be, you won't, that girl that's yelling at you or across the table, you won't even like look at her. Like, you'll be looking at the goofy girl that was behind him, being like, "Hey, what are we doing later?" It's silly. It's really silly. And the thing is, no one sees it. I'm just like, you guys don't see this as like manipulation. Like, this is exactly how wives, mothers, talk to their sons, how wives nag their husband. This is a nag. It's nagging. It's like do you guys not like register that? That's disrespect. It's rude. It's like, do you want to come home to someone who talks to you like that after a long day at work? No one does. So I don't know. They can't see it. Good luck.
Nuke is mad. Nuke is mad at these guys.
Fired up. Actually, that's a good point you have, though. Actually, that's going to be my my stream on Friday morning is going to be on like what to expect for a divorce. One of my shipmates reached out to me. He's in Japan now, and he's got a guy that works with him that's getting ready to go through a divorce. And so he's like, "Hey man, do you have an episode on like what to expect for?" I'm like, "No, actually I don't. I guess I'll do that as a stream." But one of the things that guys don't realize when they are getting ready to go through a divorce is like, you're about to, like, if you choose to, you're about to live the high life, man. Like, this is after I got divorced, dude, like, life just fucking shined out on me, and I'm like, this is great. I mean, I had to do the alimony thing, I have to pay the child support stuff, like that sucks, trying to divvy up assets and stuff like that sucks. But it's like, dude, like when you like relearn game and you're like after 35 and like you're like, holy shit, dude, I actually have money now. I didn't have money back when I first got married. I was fucking, like I told you, I was treating my wife to fucking Navy chow on the ship as like a date because I was poor,
Mm-hmm.
Like now I have money. Like I can actually do real shit, like
Mm-hmm.
this is wonderful. Yeah. So anyway, you guys want to get back to this, or are we going to just totally?
We could let's find something of this that actually we can really discuss, except for like the definition of the red pill and why guys suck.
Let's see here. What RP videos? So we can skip through here. There's timestamps. So
look at this.
We have why women have sex.
That's probably going to be interesting to hear Destiny talk about that, because he probably watches his girlfriend do it a lot.
Then just buying concealed insurance isn't enough.
He wants to know why his wife has sex with other dudes. Yeah,
and that's exactly.
I think what we're talking about, though, is the guy who can sleep with hundreds of women. I'm not saying they should, but I'm just saying that those guys who can, there's usually something that they do that is above and beyond. They are
true. And the thing that they do that's above and beyond is they go for women. That's the big separator, is whether or not you go after the women or not, right? Because again, when you look at the average heights and you look at the average partners, you're not finding that like all these women, it's like 15 average partners when you're 6 foot plus and only 3 partners for guys. Like even guys that were 5'2" to 5'4", my short kings, no offense, even those guys were on average like 9.1 partners. They were like 4 average partners away from the guys that were 6'5"
I guess I'm confused. If the average North American male has 6 partners, how is the 5'2" guy having
this was a survey. That number sounds low to me. I haven't heard that before. I thought the average number of partners for the North American male was between 9 to 11. That's what I heard.
Maybe it is. I thought
6 sounds low. It might be like average relationships or something, but the average number of partners I've heard. And again, this is a 2015 study, evolutionary psychology, surveyed 60,000 people. So I'm
Destiny just talks so fast.
In the United States, or what was
in the
it?
United
Talks
States,
so fast.
So from what I understand, Destiny, you're saying that if the guy wants it to happen, he'll get more partners.
I'm saying that if you take a guy who's 5'4", makes $36,000 a year, okay, and isn't that in shape compared to like a fucking Giga Chad 6'2" guy, if the 6'2" guy is like, I'm going to focus on work and I'll just fuck whatever comes my way, and the 5'2" guy is like, I'm going to fuck everything I fucking can.
I
I'm
don't
going to
think
go
any of
hard
us disagree with that.
That short dude is going to pull way more than
there's this thing called the pickup community, of course.
Exactly, yeah. And from that pickup community too, so I'm trying to keep everything data driven. I know you bring up your strippers, but if I want to lean into the anecdotes, something that I hear very commonly from the pickup community, and something that I've seen personally a lot, is you will find these guys in these incel communities. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to some of these subreddits where people will post these pictures. Dude is like relatively attractive, 5'11". Yeah, and they're like, I feel like I'm hideous and I can't find like any girls. I don't think any girls gonna like me.
Do you think autism might have a place, a part in that?
It might. It's hard to say.
Autism has increased 178% since 2000.
See, I don't know. Well, I hear that before. The problem is, do you guys remember Steve Urkel? You guys remember Revenge of the Nerds? We were fucking making fun of autistic people back in the 80s and 90s because we didn't know what they were. So when we say it's 78% more autistic people, I just think
diagnosed, right?
I just think what happened is we used to just call them nerds, and now we're realizing that they actually have a spectrum disorder. Also, it used to not be a spectrum; it used to just be autism, and now it's a spectrum. So now we can include more people. So I don't know. That could be the case. We can say, hey, you found the exact same studies for autoimmune disorders. I think a lot of countries didn't know what autoimmune disorders were, so now we diagnose more of them because now we understand what it was.
Yeah, I understand. But so just to circle back on this one more time, that we can move on to this point. I don't know of any trait that guarantees you a high number of partners, despite the fact that we talk about it like that all the time. Like, I can't find research that says if you're 6'2" plus.
How about 2 traits?
Two traits. I don't know.
The 2 traits would be
combinations.
The combination would be some form of competency or physical attractiveness, or like, and then combine that with, I'm going to go out every night till I get fucking laid.
Well, but again, the only one that really matters is the latter one. Because the latter one, in the least competent guy in the world, is going to get him laid more than the most competent guy.
I just don't know if you have 33% of men having zero sexual partners. I think there's still
like a million guys in like the Looks Maxers right now.
Well, 33% was for men 19 to 30. And again, I understand we can do a lot of conjecture, but like I said, like I'm like I said, I tried to find.
What do you guys think so far?
What do I need to have to fuck a lot of women? What is like the trait
I
that will
think
do it?
Destiny talks really fast.
If you want to fuck a lot of women, you go for it.
I thought he was actually making a somewhat decent point. I don't know if this is the segment because I was off getting a drink, but he was saying that, he thought that the guys that get laid the most are the guys that go after it the most. And I was like, wrong. I think there might be something to that.
I endorse that. That's basically my brand, is that if you want it, you have to go get it, and you have to put in the work. But the thing is that like, even Michael Sartain mentions the area of Dallas where I live in, which was kind of scary because I thought no one knew about this little. I was gatekeeping this little area to myself, but he mentions it in a couple of minutes. He'll mention it, but the thing is, like, it's hard to like agree with someone that has no idea what it is to go out and game women on the street, at clubs, on online dating apps. Like, obviously he has his status and he's probably, makes it a little easier. But the thing is that this whole talk is good, but it's just like Destiny is just doesn't have the experience, and also the life experience as a normal regular man. How old is he? Like 27, 30?
I'm not sure.
Let's see, Destiny.
Probably I would guess around 30 at the most. It's hard to tell because
I'm 30 and I'm 34, and I still feel like I got a lot to learn in life, but
I only got 4 years on you, and I can tell you, yeah, you do. Sorry, it just is. Paul I'm sure he's be like, yeah, you both got some shit to go to.
Yeah.
This is funny. It says on his Wikipedia page that he's either 34 or 35.
Really? So he's my age.
Because it says that like it's got two different birthdays on here, 88 or 89. Like, which is it? Wikipedia? I don't know. But yeah, he's like 34, 35. But yeah, I mean, like I sort of agreed with that because that's also my brand, right? Because otherwise, like if you go strictly by, you know, what Rollo and Mike talk about as far as like genetics and you know, you're basically it's the 666 argument, you know, 6-pack abs, you got to have this to get and guys take that and they go, well, you have to have that to get women. If you don't have that, you don't get women, which isn't true. You know, and I've done streams on how it's a total myth.
Yeah.
Right. I think that people miss the point that there's kind of just two arguments happening at the same time. That's like Destiny is correct. Yes, you have to put in the work and you'll have more results because the guys
everyone loves that part of the argument. Oh, yeah, men have to step up.
Part of it.
Yeah.
But it's the guys who get good at it by doing it that get better at it and have better results. It's not just you have to like just because Destiny's right doesn't make it a good argument. It's not really what we're.
It's like in sales, you know, you have the law of averages, right? The more doors you knock on, the more sales you're going to get. It's the same. It's literally the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a qualitative approach versus a quantitative approach, and they're having, I think, both discussions kind of at the same time, and Destiny's kind of just showing the quantitative part of it, and he doesn't want to talk about the other side.
Yeah. One thing I do find interesting is they do come to some agreements on this. Like, yeah, I'd agree with that. You know, which is good. You know, it's good. Like, that's why I said it's not a total dumpster fire.
But here's the thing, they're going to get into like the differences between men that are like 6 feet and 5'11" and 5'6", and then they spit out a pretty surprising statistic that the difference between like a guy that's 6'3" and like 5'8" is like one partner per year, or one partner per year, or partner per life. 3 or 4 different life partners. And the thing is that like that's what, and then that just means to me that most of the guys are just waiting around for a girl to like, you know, just come into their orbit, and you know, just like the regular average guy, right? And then that would negate this whole argument that guys like me are the ones that are destroying the West, because there's so little of us that we can't even change the needle of like how many men are getting laid. So why is it that whenever there's an argument with like like, you know, your Lila versus Jay Waller, why is it always the fault of the guy that just says, hey, I just kind of want to get laid and a little bit and focus on me? Why is it us? Why doesn't it turn against institutions? Why doesn't it turn against everything else? Your own gender, right? And this is why there's so many inconsistencies, and it's really easy to spot them. But like, I think Destiny's I think he's a high IQ dude. The thing is that like there's an emotional attachment to, I want to make everyone happy. It's like the covert contract where he does, if he thinks, if I make everyone in this argument look bad or look good all together, then everyone will like me. And I think that's, you know, that's a function of him being a public figure or a streamer and everything. You kind of want to present yourself, but that's just a theory I have. Maybe
it's a dancing monkey. He wants to know that he's doing the right monkey dance.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And he's like waiting for that kind of approval, I guess. And the easiest way to get that is to just appeal to everybody's emotions.
Appealing to emotions is a great marketing strategy in general, you know.
Yep.
It doesn't map onto money because it's reversed that way, right? Poor people have more sex than wealthy people. Doesn't seem to map cleanly onto height. Doesn't seem to map cleanly onto BMI. Doesn't seem to map cleanly onto career. The more career-driven people have less children and have less sex.
But then also, like, as far as the poor people and everyone, all those demographics that you just mentioned right now, we also have to take into account age. So if you're looking at like 18 to 30 demographic versus the 30 to 40 to whatever it is. So
also, there's a difference between having wealth and the ability to spend. Like the willingness to spend, I think actually might
I was going to say,
we're in Miami.
I just had a study here that was saying that like men who are like not frugal, who would like overspend, they're like, it's almost like Findom, right? That were more willing to spend above and beyond, like go take a line of credit out. Those guys had a higher instance of sexual partners.
That wouldn't surprise me, but that maps onto what I was saying earlier. I don't think it maps onto what you guys are saying, and that it maps onto a certain alpha trait. It maps onto what I'm saying is that it's a guy that's willing to fucking do what he needs to get laid. He wants to get laid. Yeah. So that spender could be a 5'4" fucking nerd dude that like isn't the most attractive guy, but he's willing to invest time and resources to get laid.
All of them want to get laid. I think it's who's willing to like move to Brickell or South Beach or move to West or move
who's
to Hollywood.
Willing to go and
who's willing to go and physically be there. I think that's the difference
too.
And I think where the delta is, the difference between the guys getting laid and the ones who aren't, are the ones, because we do so many things virtually now. I think it's the ones who are willing to go where the shit is. The guys who are willing to live on 6th Street or live on 6th Street in Austin, Texas, or McKinney Avenue in Dallas. Sure. Those guys who are willing to live there or be there all the time. I agree with you.
The ones chasing it, yeah.
Yeah, but I think they all want to get laid.
Sure. But again, to circle back, because it feels like in these circles we talk about these are the traits that are desired by women, and these are the things that's your
stomping grounds there, Nuke.
Actually having the sex.
I cannot confirm or deny.
So that like theory is totally broken.
I don't totally broken. I think you just add logistics to the previous theory, and then all of a sudden,
for me,
because I bet you if we compare,
I'm gonna eventually do a dating course. Gotta have a course. I'm gonna eventually do a course on meeting chicks out in ranch country. You know, I think that's gonna be my niche. And the thing is, like, there's no chicks out here in the cow pasture, right? There's no cold approach to the cow pasture, and so like you have to go to where the chicks are, and sometimes that's an hour away. Sometimes it's
like that is true.
That's just how it is. So yeah, you do have to be willing to go out of your way to do it, because chicks aren't gonna fucking break into your house. So. And cook you a dinner.
I've done that with I've done that back in the day. My buddies were like, "We're going down to this place. It's like it's down here in another state, like over an hour away." I went. You know, they told me I had some success sometimes, and I didn't other times.
I agree with you that if we control away for like sex addicts and everything,
fun either way,
we can say like, okay, what that women prefer. But if like all the sex,
let's see if they got something else here. I think we beat that one to death. Let's see here. Is pair bonding real?
That's got to be an interesting topic for Destiny.
Why are we arguing like stuff that we already know? We're too old for this.
Oh, we're not arguing. We're just reacting.
Polyandry.
We're reacting like the kids, Nuke.
No, polygyny is two women and one man.
This is what red pills devolve
interspersed
to,
with small periods of monogamy. That's how I would answer the question. So
Wait,
there's not one.
Do you see what that guy's saying? Out of all the dudes on the table, who do you think has the less bodies? Oh my god!
Pleistocene times would be a man staying with his wife for at least 3 years until the child would be able to walk.
Did I ever tell you guys?
Do you agree with?
Do you believe in like?
I did ever tell you I had this guy reach out to me in my DMs.
Okay, so here's a question that I have.
He's like, I'm looking for a dating coach. What's your body count? And I was like, what kind of question is that? I could give you a number, man, but like, how would you verify it?
I know where that's from. I think Patrick Bet David, the billionaire guy, he said when you're vetting a dating coach, ask him his body count. I was like,
yeah, that's exactly what the kids. That's what the kid said. He's like, well, Patrick Bet David said this. I go, Patrick Bet David's a fucking idiot, you know? Because like, yeah, you might have someone like John Anthony Lifestyle. You can't say anything bad about that guy because he does defamation lawsuits. So his claim that he's got four-digit body count may or may not be true, but how do you verify it, right? You can't. You just got to take his word for it.
I have twice his. Whatever his number is, mine's double.
Yeah, who's the highest you've heard so far? Okay, I did one more than that. Right? Like fucking stupid.
Guys get locked onto that notch count. But yeah, turn this up. Let's see what they're talking about.
He's 6 foot tall, everything else. He's got to be the best quality. Guys are scattershot. Again, it's the R and the K reproductive models, I guess. Okay. Men tend to be much more R selected. Women are K selected, meaning that they're going to want to be more because they have to.
Well, for the selection, I think that refers to the species. I don't think it refers to.
It does. But what I'm saying is, if you were going to like translate it from like what's
I agree with that guy.
Reproductive strategy versus
that $9.99 super chat.
Men, we're ejaculate and evacuate, right? It's get in, get the job done, and go. Because for one ejaculation, we have like 1 million sperm, so it's scattershot, right? For women, it's one. It's the what is it? Sperm is cheap, and
the way. So it's a parental investment hypothesis. The way you said it before is there's so much less investment necessary for a man than for a woman, and so for a man to pass on his genetics, quantity of women would be more important than quality, and for women to be the opposite.
Well, so, in a pragmatic sense, I'm not saying it's the most ethical. I'm not saying it's moral. I'm not saying whatever. I'm just saying in the most pragmatic sense.
I understand all of that. Okay, I'm going to bring all of this crashing down. Okay, I hear that we talk about this as a theory a lot.
Wow.
I don't think anybody is a proponent of this theory anymore. You brought up Bus, and I know that you said you have contentions with Bus's current work. It's because he no longer believes in this kind of like dual selection strategy. And then,
do you believe in a mate switching strategy?
No.
You don't believe in a mate switching strategy?
When I looked up data for what were the most reproductively advantageous ways to conduct oneself throughout all of human history, humans seem to practice something called serial monogamy. So we date, we break up, we date, we break up.
That's what I described. Yeah.
And that is, not only is that what we tend to practice, that is the most successful reproductive strategy.
Yeah. But that's a mate switching strategy.
But it's not like you dump somebody immediately just to like upgrade, because that, I don't think there's any evidence for that. There's no data for that.
The thing is, how do you make data for upgrade? Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
sure. So here are some things that people measure. So one thing is EPP, I think it's called extra pair partners. When people do broad research in society and they try to find like how many people are having these extra pair partners, how many people are married to the beta bucks and then fucking the alpha guys for the genetics.
Can you imagine getting ready for this debate?
Is 6%, but globally speaking, it's about 1 to 1.5% in almost all areas. So the idea that women are going out to fuck men and then coming back to their beta guys, there's no data for that. Not only is there no data to support that,
actually,
from an evolutionary point of view,
I will say
that actually,
I mean, he's right about this. He is right about that. Guys are, from what I see on, and I know it's on social media, but I think the stigma is out there that women are like, they're all whores or whatever, and they're all cheating on.
They're all hypergamous. Well, they are all hypergamous. They don't always act on it though.
And it's like, okay, that does not line up with any of my personal experience. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't think the wool's been pulled over my eyes. You guys are just mad that you aren't getting any, and you gotta be pissed, and you gotta have a boogeyman, and you make it women.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the Smurf man here is right about that part, that guys they're not calibrated right. They have this really crazy mental model about women. And you know, some women are like that. Yes, not all women. This is no Walt for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's like what Chesty says all the time, right? There's all these guys that are thinking of women in the abstract. They're arguing about women in the abstract right now.
Yeah. It's they're plucking this weird like Madonna and whore complex, and they're plucking the whore out and going, look at this whore right here. And it's like, she's not real. You just made her up. She doesn't even have a name. She's fake.
Yeah. That's the whole like trad versus like non-trad girl, the liberal versus conservative, the virgin versus the high body count. There's so many things that men like, they create this like cyborg woman in their mind, and then they argue for it. And then I'm like, dude, I can promise you there's girls that are conservative that are just like complete thoughts, like sluts that they can't even pair bond with a guy. And I can promise you there's girls that are like, that voted for Biden, and they're probably willing to cook and clean for you and are happy to have you around. Like, stop, like, you guys gotta really go out and meet women and just make, and it goes to the responsibility thing. Why go out and meet women and put in the work myself, and not work like you're not working on a field or grinding. You're just going out and living your life and socializing. Why do that when I can just sit here on the internet and just argue for two different women in the abstract that may or may not exist? And I'm telling you,
it feels real.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, like, everything that people argue about, once you start, especially since I live in a big city, I meet women from a lot of different backgrounds, and through friends, as friends, acquaintances, coworkers, or just just people around my neighborhood, neighbors, and all that stuff. And it's not, women aren't great, they're not like these, they're not great, but they're not terrible either. They're just neutral. It's just they're people, and they have market pressures. And honestly, like from what I've seen, especially like the body count debate. So this is what I've done. I've when I'm dating a chick, I always ask about her friends, because women are really like willing to talk bad or spill the tea on their friends for some reason. So I asked her like, oh, so how's your friends' dating lives? And then one thing I found out about the body count thing was that like simply what women do is that in between boyfriends, they have like 2 or 3 guys that they have on standby, because they're more hyper aware of their body count and more insecure about it than we think. We call them out on it, but they're extremely hyper aware of it. So what they do is that they keep it low by just seeing the same 2 or 3 guys in between breakups, and then eventually till they get married, and then guys like, no, she has 100 or she has 500, or I'm like, dude, relax. Either way, you're gonna know not a number, but through behavior. So relax.
Yeah, I know. There's a gal that I run with all the time. We've done like marathons and stuff together, and we train together. And she went through a divorce, and she brought, she flew this guy in that she, was like a, dude that she dated back in the day. She flew this guy in, and I was like, you're air freighting in dick now? Like, what are you doing? Just like giving her
That's
shit.
funny.
And she's like, well, yeah, like she goes, I've slept with him in the past. So, I'm like, so you're keeping your body count low. And she's like, exactly. Like,
you get it. Like duh.
Yeah, you get me. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's a mental gymnastics thing that they do,
You see guys in the chat and guys that are watching, this is called trading notes. See this is what the red pill is. Just some dudes getting together, trading notes and saying, hey, that makes sense. This is what it's always been. Nothing else. It's always just, and we're doing it because we want a solution so we can get back to our lives that we want to live. That's it. That's all it is. Nothing. It's boring. It's like C-SPAN. It's boring.
It's boring.
Oh,
shit.
it's also holding Hyman accountable.
Well, yeah. It's like hypergamy.
Don't kick me off.
Right?
Don't kick me off.
It's hypergamy, right? It's dualistic. The red pill is the boring stuff and women.
Did you guys catch my stream on Friday? I had that blonde chick Morgan May on again.
Oh, I commented on there. I stopped by for a little bit.
Yeah. So Morgan's a cool chick, and she teaches girls girl game, and so I like just chatting it up with her, just to see what she's telling the girls and stuff. She's funny, and one of the things I asked her what she thought of. There's this female dating coach on TikTok called Chantel Heidi, and she teaches women no kissing for 3 months, right? And so I asked
Christ.
Right, asked Morgan what she thought about that. And then I said, be careful how you answer, because I might give you a White Claw and kick you off my podcast.
But guys don't want to hear that, right? There's just most guys, they can't take that information with a grain of salt. They hear what goes on in the other locker room, and they're like, what is going on? That's not how we would do it. It's like, you're right. I wonder why. Maybe they're just a little bit different than we are, you weirdos.
Right.
Stop trying to make them
it's kind of interesting to hear girl game strategy. It's like I sort of preface that show with it's the art of war, right? Know your enemy. kind of thing.
It's like, so you guys do this because of this? Yeah, you're on to us. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like fair enough, but it's like that's what a lot of this is, right? It's mating strategy, and was Rolo say for one sex's strategy to win, the other one has to concede or compromise, right? Essentially. God rest.
It makes sense.
God bless his majesty,
godfatherliness,
his godfather,
his douche-nozzliness.
Right. All right. Okay. So what are we talking about here? We got female mating strategy. Destiny disagrees with alpha fucks beta bucks.
Okay. Of course he would. That's on brand.
Of course
he has to.
Pretty on brand. Yeah.
This is the alpha flex beta bucks is not indicative of anything.
Hold on a second. So we saw that thing that Chris put up before, where not only were men having fewer sexual partners,
maybe we'll wrap up.
Women
after
also
this
were having fewer sexual partners.
Agreed.
That's one reason why they might not be acting on it. Number two, when you talk about 1%, you were talking about genetic cuckoldry, 6% or as low as 1%. The thing is, when women go outside the relationship, often they don't have unprotected sex. So it's really difficult for you to then say from that standpoint that even though she may cognitively be having sex with a better looking guy, she may cognitively know to use contraceptives. She may subconsciously be like, I'm still having sex with a better looking guy because I want his genes, even though cognitively she's not doing that. Consciously, she's not doing that. But do you understand what I'm saying? She's still having sex with a male stripper without the intention of actually having a baby with him. Whereas
sure, we can say that, but then that kind of betrays.
Her cave woman ancestor was not doing that. Her cave woman ancestor didn't have a condom. Does that make sense?
I can understand what you're saying, but the reproductive strategy just doesn't.
You
make
notice
sense.
how like super casual Rollo is in this? He's all like shoes off, just fucking like.
He's the one who believes in
okay, sure.
I believe in mate switching hypothesis.
We're talking about female
the difference is
strategy?
women are cheating. Number one. They are some women cheating.
I've only been talking about
and
this
when they cheat, they are doing so because they're in an unhappy relationship. So let's bring this all back around to Dunbar's number and social media. More women are in unhappy relationships because they are comparing themselves to other people, other relationships, and they have access to more men, which is causing more unhappy relationships, which is causing more cheating.
Yeah, but despite all of that, men still cheat more.
I don't disagree. Men cheat
slightly now.
But
it's only slightly now, but you would imagine that
but
if
they
women
close together, really closing the gap right
there
now.
are a couple polls. Well, there was a recent YouGov one. I read that New Yorker article that you read that referenced one in 2016 that showed that the gaps were closing quite a bit.
He's citing a poll. Like polls are fucking not stats, you know?
Every year word, like, and it goes both ways.
Sure. Well, but the problem with that New York paper is it was citing something from a McKinsey Institute, which the people that they survey is questionable. But regardless, let's say that I grant you that it's the same.
Those were bad.
If we're arguing that women are hypergamous, women have access to all these men on social media,
But
women are on
polls,
Twitter, Instagram,
I mean,
and
polls are
and,
just
I know you've tweeted
known
up
to
before,
be
and I think you guys have
manipulated
said, I don't know if you agree
themselves, you
that
know?
women celebrate
So-
cheating more than men, or like women aren't going to get shit from it.
Divorce.
Sure. Yeah. And that women's friends are going to be like, you go queen, and men are like, don't cheat, right? If all of these things were true, wouldn't we expect women to be cheating way more than men?
No, because women,
And they have an easier time doing it because they go fuck anybody they want, right?
For sure, but women don't cheat more than men because men are more interested in casual sex. Like if men are obviously, I mean, you don't disagree. I mean, men are more interested in casual sex than women. That's the reason. So let's go back to the thing I said before. The main point of the study was that 83% of the time when a woman cheated on her, stepped outside of a marriage, she fell in love with her affair partner. When
Yeah,
it was
I understand what you're
30%
saying.
30% for men, which means for men, they could have sex and it didn't mean as much, where women, when they would have sex with
Men
another
just want
partner,
a different
their intention was
vagina
to switch
sometimes,
partners.
you know?
Sure.
And I
Like-
could buy that. But then there's the schism
It's
here.
exciting to have
against
that-
the dual
that out-of-town
dual
strange,
sexual- it's,
right?
I think it's
Real
also
Mike
exactly.
on the mate switching. You disagree with Rollo on the
Exactly, yeah,
mate
because
switching.
you guys have a big disagreement
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Incorrect.
yeah,
It's not a big
It's
disagreement.
Well,
huge
it's just
disagreement because
on
the
Twitter.
question is, what is the
Like,
mating strategy?
right,
Because
so
you're
it's
saying
boring,
women are
that's
always
silly.
fucking to
It's
find
boring.
long-term partners, which I agree with.
Yeah.
He's probably
But
also
here's the
looking,
thing.
trying to
The
look for
reason why I don't
fucking
completely
stats.
disagree is because I used to live in Los Angeles and I live in Las Vegas, and there's
Him,
tons of women.
he
who
and
are
Ryan
straight
are
up cucking their
awesome
boyfriends,
about
and I meet
like
hundreds of them. And then what you're going to say is,
bookmarking
well, yeah,
old
I mean,
shit
that's
that they
selection
could go
bias.
Well, what I'm
back
going
to.
to say is at the beginning of the debate, I agree that
I'm
we're not
like,
going to do stories.
I'm
We're
not
just going to
that
do research,
original.
right?
What
They're
I'm saying is,
very
but
good
there's
at
enough for
identifying
me to
what
say
they're
it's
gonna need
statistically
later.
viable that
Like,
women are still
this looks
doing what he's
good.
saying.
I'll screenshot
It's just not
that.
all women.
Thank
So
you.
the discussion is
Let me-
it 50-50 or is it
fucking
85-15
color
or is it
code that.
90-10?
Based on like cuckold, I think one of the studies I even have is like the cuckolded fathers or whatever. And again, those extra partner parents are literally, it's like 1% of all.
Because of contraceptives, I don't know if that's
It's not even
reliable.
contraceptives. This is historically, because the only way they do this is through genetic analysis of like
Right.
broad
Oh, I
spectrum
see
of
what you're
people
saying.
to try to
Yeah.
figure out like,
He's like
yeah.
waving his hands
So
at
it just doesn't seem to be
ceiling.
the case that many women practice that reproductive strategy. Another study that you guys bring up too, that's kind of in this wheelhouse, is a long time ago there was a genetic collapse where there was one man for every 17 women. Right?
Are you talking about during the
It was like 8,000 BC, I think.
years
Yeah.
ago, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So for a while, I think in
You're talking
20.
about a near extinction event, but after the agricultural revolution? What are you
Sure.
talking
There was a 2015 study that showed that prior to this, there was a big genetic collapse because of a near extinction event. But this was a particularly interesting one because it was only a genetic collapse of the Y chromosome. So it looked like for a while, only like there was like one man's genetic diversity for every 17 women.
Are you talking about the whole thing? Pat Bet David came out with a thing saying 40% of men throughout history have replicated and 80% of women. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it was more specifically something that Rolo specifically brought up in his show, that there were 17 women for every one man. Yeah, there's a 2021 video where he brought it up.
Here, I'll get it for you.
I use it all the time.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
I know exactly.
However,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
From Stanford in 2018 went back and they looked at this data, and then they looked at how people lived in those time periods. Yeah. And if you really think about it, it's impossible that one man could have 17 women for a variety of reasons. The first is because you can't partition that many resources. These were hunter-gatherer tribes that were like doing early like clanning. One man could never provision enough resources for 17 different women. You didn't have like castles and stuff.
So what was the explanation?
So the explanation was, back then, the way that humans organized themselves was through patrilineal clans. The way that it worked was, if you had a clan and you went there, it was one man, and all the genetic lineage for the men were from that one man. However, women,
like Genghis Khan and Kulia Khan, and
a little bit, but women would actually go and marry other clans. So what happened was anytime there was
whether they wanted to or not.
Sure, but what happened was anytime there were warring clans, what you would find is if one gets wiped out, that Y genetic lineage is gone because all the men are dead from that particular war, but the women were married off to other clans, so their chromosomes could continue to spread. So that Y collapse is most likely, now you can't prove it, but most likely the explanation, the reason why that Y collapse happened was because of the patrilineage organization of society in those days.
And including the violence that was partaken from one tribe to another, meaning what you're saying is like one tribe kills all the males in another tribe and then takes the women, and that's the reason.
Or just kills the whole tribe even. Okay. They can take the women out, they don't have to, but those women have already been married off to other tribes, so their genetics are spreading more than the men who are self-contained.
But I mean, even if you go back to the Bible, what is the Jezebites, the Canaanites, all those one, it says, God says, you're to kill the men and then to take the virgins. Do you remember that?
Do you guys want to end on that?
Yes.
Kill the men and take the virgins.
Jeez. I did not think that I was going to ever have a live stream like this, but I'll admit it was fun.
It's kind of fun. Why not? You know,
I did enjoy it. Yeah, I did have fun. Thanks for coming by, Nuke. That was cool of you.
No problem. Yeah, I was just watching. I set a reminder and I just tuned in. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, where can people find you?
You guys. Yeah, twitter.com nuclear or Calillo Nuclear, and then twitch.tv Nuclear Calillo. You guys know where to find me. And I'm causing havoc on Twitter. It's kind of crazy in there, so lots of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. And Paul, my initial guest, how you doing?
Yeah, right.
Where can people find you?
You can find me right here. All the socials are there. The podcast is there. I just sit there and watch what Caudillo does on Twitter, because his Twitter game is fire, man. Like,
thanks.
It's taken me like forever to build up a following. Like, I get no engagement. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong here? He puts out one tweet, goes absolutely batshit, and I'm like, what?
I've been tweeting a long time, and I think too is just. I think it is. I know the right people to piss off. I'm really good at, lions in the savannah. They don't go for like the biggest, strongest zebra or wildebeest. They go for the one that self-doubts, the one that, is kind of weak. And I know that sounds predatory, but like some people's ideas need to be attacked. And then I just like showing the reactions and just put everything on display and then have fun and just and then there's like arguments in my replies that are like, like my followers, some of them are spurgy, right? And then like women on the other side or people on the other side, and it's like 20 tweets back and forth. I was like, guys, go outside. You guys really need to relax. It's okay. It's just Twitter. Like,
that's how you get a viral video going on TikTok. Is you say something controversial where people just start going off in arguments in the comments, and you're just like.
You're like, oh man, that's a good point you got there. Like, what are you gonna say about that? Like, is it you become Jerry Springer?
Hype them up Instagram. Yeah. Oh, you're not gonna take that, are you?
Yeah, it's basically you become Jerry Springer essentially.
I think I did that. Like, I kind of like called somebody out for that. I quote tweeted them, and I was like, "This is what this tweet would look like if you filtered it for grifting." And it was, "This is what I think. Let's fight about it." And that's what everybody's like really good tweet is, and I'm not saying it's like a grifty type thing. It's like, you gotta get people to disagree.
Yeah, get them in their feels, man.
Yep. That's the best way to try to figure out, like, if you think what you're saying is right, say the opposite of it. Say what you think is right is wrong, and then see people's reaction, and then you can gauge from there. Like, I like to ask questions like that. Like, have you ever had sex in public and stuff? And I'll put like a poll up, and people love that shit. They love doing polls because they're like, I get to click something and it's fun. They love that shit.
And I get to see what everyone else thinks. So I don't feel like I'm weird, or I feel like I'm different. Or I can see the psychology behind that.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what the answer is. It's like, oh, I knew it, or can't believe everybody's an idiot.
Yeah, all the polls are totally throwaway. You know? Yeah.
But that's it. Thank you guys both for coming. Everybody can find me.
Hey, no problem, man. Anytime.
Over there, over on Twitter. And that's it. I'm going to call it.
All right. Goodbye, guys.
Hey, see you, man.